There was a field that no one dared to enter. It lay on the edge of the village, stretching far beyond the eye's reach, covered in thick, unyielding grass. The locals called it the Silent Field, not because it was quiet, but because the winds that swept through it never made a sound. A strange stillness hovered over the field, and no one could ever explain why. Elias, a curious young boy of 12, had heard the stories his whole life. Elders spoke of it in hushed tones, warning the children never to go near it. The field was said to be cursed, home to ancient spirits, and its very soil was believed to hold dark secrets. But Elias wasn't afraid. In fact, he had always been drawn to it, as if something in the field called out to him. His friends warned him time and time again, but there was something deep within his heart that urged him to go. One crisp morning, when the fog was thick and the village still slept, Elias slipped out of his house and made his way to the field. The moment he crossed the village border, the air grew colder. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest, and stepped into the long grass. As he ventured deeper, a shiver ran down his spine. The field was like nothing he had ever seen. The colors seemed muted, as if the world around it was locked in an eternal dusk. The tall grasses swayed gently, but no sound reached his ears. Elias knelt down, running his fingers through the grass, feeling an odd warmth beneath his fingertips. There was something different about this place, something alive. Elias wandered further, his eyes scanning the field for anything unusual. His feet moved instinctively, guided by an invisible pull, as if the earth itself were urging him forward. And then he saw it. Beneath the long, golden grass, half buried in the soil, was something glimmering. His heart skipped a beat as he crouched down and brushed the grass away. It was an artifact, an ancient, ornate pendant, the likes of which Elias had never seen. It was shaped like a crescent moon, with intricate symbols carved into its surface, and the center glowed with a soft, ethereal light. As soon as his fingers touched the pendant, a rush of energy surged through him. He gasped, pulling his hand back, but the sensation didn't stop. It wasn't painful. It was like a fire igniting in his chest, something ancient awakening deep inside him. For a moment, he just stared at the pendant, unsure of what to do. But then the air around him seemed to hum, and a voice, barely a whisper, echoed in his mind. "You have found it. The key to your destiny." Elias's breath caught in his throat. He looked around, but there was no one in sight. The field was empty, yet the voice was so clear, so real. The voice vanished as quickly as it had come, leaving Elias standing in stunned silence. The pendant pulsed with light in his hand, almost as though it were alive, and the stillness of the field grew heavier. He felt the urge to run, to flee back to the safety of the village. But something deeper held him there. His heart raced, but curiosity overcame fear. He couldn't leave, not now. Elias stood up, holding the pendant tightly in his hand. As he did, he noticed something strange. The wind, which had been eerily quiet, began to stir. But this time, it wasn't like the gentle breeze of the village. It was like a whispering wind, low and beckoning, brushing against his skin and making the hairs on his arms stand up. The voice came again, louder this time, as though it was coming from within the earth itself. "Do you seek knowledge, power, or are you simply drawn by the call of the field?" Elias glanced around, his eyes widening. The words weren't just in his head anymore. They echoed through the air, as though the field itself were speaking to him. Without thinking, he whispered, I want to know what this place is. I want to understand the power it holds." The wind seemed to pause, as if considering his words. Then it whispered back, "Then follow where it leads. The answers lie hidden beneath." Elias turned, his eyes scanning the field. The grass waved in patterns that seemed to guide him, leading him toward the farthest edge of the land. His heart pounded in his chest, but there was no turning back now. Something deep within him knew this was his path, his purpose. Elias followed the strange wind, stepping carefully over rocks and fallen branches as the field opened up into a clearing. At the center of the clearing was a stone circle, ancient and weathered, covered in symbols that seemed to glow faintly. It was as if time itself had forgotten this place, leaving it untouched for centuries. He knelt in the center of the circle, feeling a strange energy pulse through his body. The pendant grew warmer in his hand, its light pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. As he placed the pendant onto the stone slab at the center of the circle, the ground trembled. A deep rumble echoed through the earth, and the stones around the circle began to glow brighter. Elias gasped, stepping back as the ground split open in front of him. A hidden passage revealed itself, leading deep underground. The voice returned, stronger this time, almost like a warning. Only those with courage may walk this path. Once you enter, there is no turning back. Elias took a deep breath. His legs felt weak, but his resolve was stronger than ever. He stepped forward, feeling the weight of the field's power surge around him. The passage led into a vast underground chamber, its walls lined with ancient symbols and carvings. At the center of the room was a large stone pedestal, atop which rested an ancient tome, the source of the power he had been seeking. As Elias approached the pedestal, a surge of energy coursed through him. His eyes glowed briefly, and the pendant in his hand pulsed with light. The book slowly opened, its pages turning on their own, as if welcoming him. "The power has chosen you, boy," the voice whispered, echoing around him. "Now you must choose what you will do with it." Elias reached out to touch the book, and as his fingers brushed the pages, visions flooded his mind. He saw flashes of ancient battles, powerful sorcerers, and beings of light and darkness. He saw the very fabric of reality being woven together by magic and power. The boy's heart raced, the weight of the knowledge pressing on him. He could feel the raw, untamed power coursing through his veins. It was overwhelming, but somehow it felt like it was meant for him. The chamber trembled as Elias stepped closer to the pedestal, feeling the overwhelming power emanating from the ancient tome. As his fingers brushed the pages, the air around him began to hum with an energy that seemed almost alive. The symbols on the walls glowed brighter, and a soft, ethereal light filled the room. Suddenly, the shadows along the walls seemed to move, coalescing into figures. Elias stumbled back, his heart racing. From the darkness emerged two ancient guardians, tall, imposing figures with silver hair, their eyes glowing with a gentle but powerful light. They were dressed in robes woven from the very fabric of the field's energy, their forms seemingly made of light and shadow intertwined. One of them spoke in a voice like 1,000 whispers. "You are the chosen one, Elias." Elias swallowed hard, unsure of what to say. Chosen for what? The other guardian's voice was calm, but its words carried weight. "The silent field holds powers older than time itself. You are meant to protect it, to wield its power and guide the forces that seek to use it for their own gain." Elias felt his heart thud in his chest. This was real. All the myths and stories were not just legends, they were truths. He had been chosen for something far greater than himself. "But how?" Elias asked, his voice shaking. "What do I have to do?" The first guardian stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "First, you must awaken the dormant power within you. Only then will you understand what you must do." The guardians led Elias deeper into the chamber, where they instructed him to kneel before the ancient tome. As Elias opened the book, a swirl of energy surrounded him, and the room seemed to vanish. He was suddenly standing in a vast, empty space, surrounded by swirling lights. "To awaken your power," the guardians' voices echoed, "you must face your greatest fear." A dark shape began to form in front of him, slowly materializing into something familiar yet terrifying. A shadowy version of Elias himself, twisted and dark, its eyes glowing with malice. "Face yourself," the voice commanded. The dark figure stepped forward, its voice dripping with mockery. "You think you can wield this power? You are nothing, a boy with dreams too big for his own good." Elias gritted his teeth, feeling the weight of the words. But deep inside him, something began to stir. a burning desire to prove himself, to rise above the doubt. He had to face this darkness, this version of himself. With a roar, Elias summoned all the energy he had felt in the field. The pendant around his neck glowed fiercely, and his hands ignited with brilliant light. As he faced his dark self, the shadowy figure recoiled, hissing in pain as Elias's light pushed it back. In a final surge of strength, Elias shattered the darkness, the figure vanishing into the ether. As the vision faded, Elias was once again standing in the chamber, his heart still racing. The guardians nodded in approval. "You have proven yourself," one of them said. "But your journey is not over. There is a path ahead, one that is forbidden to all but the most worthy." Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. "What path?" "The path that leads to the heart of the field," the other guardian explained. "It is a dangerous journey, filled with challenges and enemies who seek to use the power for their own purposes. But it is the only way for you to truly awaken the full extent of your abilities." Elias's mind raced. He had already faced so much, but this, the heart of the field, the power it contained was unknown, and he could sense the weight of responsibility it held. "You must go," the guardians said, their voices resolute. "The field's ancient energy calls to you. Only you can unlock its full potential." Elias set out on the forbidden path, guided by the whispers of the field and the power pulsing within him. The terrain grew increasingly treacherous, the air thick with tension. The deeper he ventured, the more the field seemed to test him. At the heart of the field, Elias was met by an unexpected adversary, a dark figure, draped in shadow, standing tall before him. The warden of the field, a guardian-like entity, had been waiting for him. "You are not ready," the warden growled. "You seek power, but power comes with a price. You are a fool to think you can control the forces of this land." Elias took a deep breath, stepping forward. He couldn't back down now. His power was growing and he had come too far. "I don't seek power for myself. I seek to protect this world, to protect the field from those who would use it for evil." The warden sneered. "Then you must face me first." The battle that followed was intense. The warden attacked with waves of shadow, each strike designed to break Elias's resolve. But Elias fought back with everything he had, his light and energy clashing against the dark forces. In a final, desperate surge of power, Elias's pendant blazed with light, overwhelming the warden's shadow and sending him into the ether. With the warden vanquished, Elias stood before the heart of the field, a massive, glowing crystal surrounded by ancient runes. As he approached, a voice echoed in his mind. "You are the key, Elias. You have unlocked the power of the field. But now you must decide how it will be used." Elias placed his hand on the crystal, and the power surged through him, filling him with knowledge and understanding of the field's ancient secrets. He saw visions of the world's creation, the battle between light and dark, and the endless cycle of balance that the field had maintained for millennia. In that moment, Elias understood his role. He was the guardian now, the protector of the field's power. With this newfound knowledge, he vowed to protect the field and its secrets, ensuring that no one would ever use its power for evil again. The voice in his mind whispered one final message. "The journey has just begun, Elias. The field is yours to protect. The secrets are now yours to guard." For more folk tale stories, please click on the subscription button.